Good evening and welcome to Success in the City. My name is Helen Webster. I'm with the lovely
Sandra Scott, and our guest today is the fabulous and inspirational
Jane Morris.
Welcome.
Amazing. Thank you, Jane, for giving your time to us this evening, and we're going to find out all about you very, very shortly, and we're super excited to find all the exciting things that you've been doing. But first, as always, we celebrate the kids. So, Sandra, I'm going to pass over to you to celebrate the kids first. Which kids are you going to celebrate?
I had the best time ever yesterday morning doing voluntary work for An Hour for Others, a local charity. And there's a fabulous doctor who I'm hoping is coming on the show next week, Hayley Tate, and she did all these vegan recipes and things with the kids that were just amazing. But she did Spanish food, Spanish vegan. So I did Spanish language with them, and we had a great time. And Kev was there from who founded An Hour for Others, and Susie Kane. And we just had a ball, and the kids were brilliant and they worked really hard. And it was just the most rewarding morning going. And the 3 hours just went like that. And it was such a good thing to do. And they were all absolutely brilliant.
Oh, well done to the little people. And I know for others have been our guests, haven't they, in the past, Kevin
and Jill.
And Jill, yeah. My blank then, because you said Susie. I was thinking it's not Susie, it's Jill. Yeah. So Kevin and Jill were on our show. So Jane, I know you've got some little people that you want to give a shout out to. Give a shout out to the little people.
Yeah, although these aren't little people, they would consider themselves as young adults, I guess. But I read a story actually about a group of boys aged 13 who'd gone bike riding on their BMXs and actually got into a lot of trouble. And one of the boys actually really hurt himself, and they were like miles away from anywhere. It was just outside of Liverpool in St Helens. And the boys they acted so well. And they looked after the boy, they rang 999, they took all the instructions, and they stopped him from bleeding, and they held him in the right way until the air ambulance came, and then he got took away. So I thought they were amazing for actually keeping cool and actually helping their friend, so shout out to them definitely this week.
Amazing. Well done. And so we've got a few little listeners in. So Jan Railton says hello, ladies, and we say hello back to Jan. And Margaret Bell says hi, Jane. So Margaret Bell must know Jane, and Jane's giving you the wave there, Marg. So I'm going to give a massive shout out to the Penny Lane Community Trust, where we were today. Sandra and I were both there today, and 2 weeks ago we were there and we got absolutely drenched, didn't we, because the weather was shocking. But today we were fortunate that the weather was good, and we had there must have been 50 children there, and we played footy, we played the imagination games, we had whack-a-ball, they had storytelling, then the ice cream man come, and they all got and Granby Toxic Trust are brilliant, and it's all collaboration with a few different partners who've all come together, and they got a fruit bag, and it was just lovely to see them all, and they all engaged, and some of the grown-ups joined in, which we loved, and we would love the grown-ups joining in as well. So thank you to Penny Lane, and we're there again next week, so hopefully we'll see some more faces and some little people, so that'll be great. So success this week, and we're going to start with you, Jane, because I know you've had an amazing success this week, so share your success with us.
Yeah, so this week I've concluded a project with a client. Obviously, I can't go into too much detail, but when you deliver something that you've been working on with a team for a long time, and it actually ends well. So that was great. So we kind of finished that on sort of Monday. We wrapped things up, and then tomorrow I'm going out to see another client that I'm starting a new project with, and that will take me on for a couple of months working with them. So it feels quite successful this week to, finish that one nicely and then start the next one.
Brilliant.
Go on, Stan.
My successes this week. Well, the biggest success is the same as your success, Helen.
And I think you should share it.
Okay, it's a shared success. So after over about 17, 18 months of looking for premises, really, from all through the lockdown, trying to find new space and everything, we finally got some premises, and it's hilarious because they're in the building where we first looked, just a different space in the Baltic, where we very first looked and said, yeah, that looks brilliant, we'll go there, because our good friend Brian Quinn, who's been on it, told us about it, and we've literally gone full circle. It's just mental, all over the city, every area, everywhere. So we're so happy we've finally signed somewhere. And we're going to start taking furniture over tomorrow, which I'm ecstatic about. So that's great.
Yeah, and that's and my success is with Sandra's as well, because we both we signed on the dotted line, which is just amazing, because we've now got a base, haven't we? And hopefully things are starting to move. So Lou, which is our interactive playground, and we've been able to take Whack-A-Ball and Imagination games out, which was lovely. We took them out today. We had more people playing on them. We took them to Norwich Green Park yesterday with kinship carers. So things are starting to move, and it's just lovely, and everybody's really enthusiastic, aren't they, about moving and getting things going again, which is lovely, because we've missed everybody so much. But Margaret Bell says, well done, Jane, that's amazing. So she's like your big fan, so we're going to give you a clap for that.
Thanks, Margaret.
So we're going to get a little bit, we're going to start again. We're going to find out a little bit more about Jane, and we're going to play this or that. So Sandra, are you going first, or am I going first?
You go first, Hal, this week.
Okay, so I'm going to say to Sandra first, okay? Facebook or Twitter?
Oh, okay. Completely different platforms though. Facebook, because I keep in touch with friends, and I live down in London and I worked down there for years. So I've got friends from the airlines who lived in Manchester and in London, all the rest of it. And people who live abroad, I'm friendly with and everything. So it's a great way for me for keeping in touch, and people share photos and stuff like that. Twitter's really good if there's a crisis, if you've lost your luggage, if you need anything, because if you can't get through or anything to a company and you tweet them, they will respond, which is great. And you can also have a pop at a politician. So when Lord Digby Jones criticised poor Alex Scott for dropping her G when listing sports, as a linguist, I was straight in there and told him. And to my delight, Stephen Fry tweeted him as well and told him how ignorant he was. And Stephen Fry is equally a polyglot. He's multilingual, all the rest of it. So I like Twitter for that. If I had to choose between the two, Facebook, because I keep in touch with friends that way.
Perfect. And Jane, over to you.
Absolutely Facebook, honestly. And my Facebook, I only have my real friends on Facebook. So I don't have anybody I don't already know.
Yeah.
Somebody, unless I've already been out with them or whatever. And a bit like Sandra, really, I keep in touch with people in Bristol, where I used to live, and up in Scotland, where friends of mine have moved away, and also locally as well. And it's great to see what your friends are doing and see them having a good time. But I do think social media generally needs to be, taken with a pinch of salt, especially with the young ones and the little people. You need to be careful, because they say that happy people post things and sad people scroll on things.
Okay.
So you've got all the happy people saying, look at me, I'm having a great time. And all the sad people who, are sitting there lonely in their little bedroom or whatever, think everyone else is just having a good time all the time. And of course, that's not always true.
Yeah.
And Jane, that's a really valid point. But even if you are a happy person, so if you have a normal life or whatever, you post nice, positive things, usually speaking. So I don't post photos of myself when I'm full of cold, or, I've got flu or I'm poorly or something bad.
No, don't.
Or something every now and then you do. I think when I was broken in 2 years ago, I put something on about that and stuff. But generally, you do try and keep it positive, I think. But it doesn't mean that negative things aren't happening in your life. You just choose not to share them, and a lot of people don't realise that. They take everything at face value, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I think for me as well, I think I'd go Facebook. So this is live on Facebook, you know what I mean? We're not live on Twitter and YouTube. But I think Facebook as a bigger, especially for my business, Facebook is great, because we can share what we've been doing, and we can share what, all things that happen and stuff. And but Twitter is amazing, as Sandra was saying, if something's happened or you find something out. And I know lots of people, use Twitter more than Facebook and stuff like that. Okay, San, over to you.
Okay, skiing holiday or beach holiday, Jane?
Oh wow, can't I have both?
I could tell. I thought you've been skiing. Yeah.
Yeah, I love to ski. So first started skiing years ago I went out with a boyfriend, and he was a great skier, and he said, "Oh, you know, if you want to be my girlfriend, you've got to learn to ski." And I said, "Okay, then I'm up for that." And he took me to America skiing, so it was great. He taught me to ski, and it was fab. So always skied after that.
And where did you ski in America, Jane?
We went to Utah.
Oh wow!
So Park City, yeah. So it was great. It did snow.
No queues.
No queues. No
queues. Amazing.
And we went to Canada a few times as well, to Whistler and Banff. And so yeah,
fabulous.
Yeah, it's great, and I love Austria. Actually, Austria is like my favourite place to ski. But you can't beat the sun, can you? You know, I mean, a few cocktails, bit of a swim, you know. So I'd probably have to say sun. If I'm looking at the holidays I've had recently, I've been to the sun. And I'm off to Dubai in September. So
amazing.
Yeah. Amazing. So you can do both there because they've got a snow dome on the beach, I think.
There you go. Yeah. Do some you can do them on the slopes as well, can't you? Go like boarding on the slopes, can't you? I'd go skiing. I absolutely love it. And the greatest is when you're at the top of the mountain and it's sunny and you've got your shorts on, your short sleeve t-shirt on and your sunglasses, baseball cap. I always remember that was my favourite. Skiing down in Italy. Amazing.
You can really catch the sun when you go skiing as well.
Yeah, you only get it to there though, don't you? On where your sunnies will be and stuff.
Yeah, but I think it's such a good way to start the year. You know, if you go in January, it's so nice, but it's been so long. I am a diabolical skier actually, Jane, because I'm a very clumsy person, but I love it. I do enjoy it, you know, and I just think it's dead nice. I'm looking forward to doing something like that again, you know.
So our guest who was on a couple of weeks ago, the fabulous Peter Lloyd, is listening in, and he says, "Evening, guys. Good to see you, Jane." Jane's getting all the credit today, so well done.
Hi, Peter.
So, okay, whilst running or walking, okay, so when you go out for a run or you go out for a walk, music or podcasts, what do you listen to, Jane?
Music, yeah. I do run. We'll probably talk about running later, but I run very short distances and I can't do it without my music. And I have the same tunes on, right? So this will make you laugh. One of the tunes I have on is "Eye of the Tiger." You know.
Yes.
You know,
bit of Rocky going on there. Yeah, I bet you run faster and jump higher when you listen to that.
But you know, I don't run fast. I think I do because I've got "Eye of the Tiger" on, but I'm not really running that fast. But yeah,
it's motivational though.
What about you, San?
Music. If I do, I listen to audiobooks constantly, and I do listen to podcasts. But if I'm walking quickly, because I don't run, Jane, unfortunately, if I'm walking quickly, I listen to music because it does quicken up your pace. And when I lived by the cathedral, I used to walk from the office over in the Cotton Exchange. So it was a good walk home, you know, and it was nice. Bit of Stevie Wonder, something like that, you know, old stuff to get going quickly. I love all of that.
So I don't listen to either when I go out for a run. So I don't do music or any. Occasionally, I'll do a bit of podcast. I might put a podcast on, but I like to run and listen to nothing. So I like to just be out there, and I always find it. You know, you can listen to the sounds around you and things, and I like to run. You know, in the trees and in the woods and things like that. And I like to listen to like the birds singing and things like that. So I actually don't like running with anything in. Yeah. So I'm probably maybe one of the only ones now who doesn't listen to anything when they're on. I know Peter Lloyd, he's training for the London Marathon, isn't he? And I think he listens to, I think he said music when he was running, because he always has his beats on, doesn't he? Okay, San, over to you.
Okay. Sewing or cooking, Jane?
Oh, that's a tough one because I'm not very good at either.
That's okay. You don't.
So I spent most of my life in the office, you know. I do a good Sunday dinner, so I've been told. Yeah, a piece of pork and some roast potatoes. I think that's my signature dish.
Lucky. Everyone loves a roast.
Yeah, definitely. That's my favourite dinner of all time, the roast dinner. I'd go cooking as well because I'm hopeless at sewing, and my mum does all my sewing, so And now Sandra can do sewing as well. So don't worry about it, Jane. Just take it to Sandra's or my mum's. You're all right.
I have the time, Jane, honestly.
What would you go, Sam? Because you're a whiz at both.
I cook it all the time. I enjoy sewing, but I don't get the chance much. But when I really sit down and sew, I really love it. And I love wearing the garments I've made as well. So I'm looking forward to finding time to do that, because I've had 2 patterns cut out for about 3 months now.
And you did a lot of sewing during lockdown, didn't you, Sam, of the masks and scrubs and things, didn't you?
Yeah, that was because they needed them in the hospital. Yeah. So.
Yeah, which is amazing. Yeah. Okay, last one for me. Would you rather be a passenger or the driver? Sandra.
Driver. I love driving.
Yeah. Jane.
Well, I drive a lot, so when I get the chance to, I ask if I can be the passenger.
Oh, that's nice for a rest.
Yeah. So I like being a passenger sometimes, but I do also like driving as well. So
100% driving for me. I hate being a passenger.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't like being a passenger. I'd rather just drive. Yeah, I get car sick, but when I drive, I don't.
Yeah.
So anywhere else, I feel it. I don't. So I like to just drive. Yeah, yes, and I'm the same. I like driving. I can drive for hours and things like that. Okay, Sam, last one.
Okay. Night at the theatre or night in a bar and a club?
Oh gosh. Well, I do love the theatre, and I've missed it. I haven't been. None of us have been, have we, really, for ages. I'm actually going to the ballet tomorrow night.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. So I'm excited about that. Yeah. But again, I like a nice drink and a bit of a disco. Sort of. I'm not sure. I mean, my kids go to clubs and they don't come in till 6 o'clock in the morning. So
no,
that's not sort of But a music bar, then I'm there. Yeah. So but if I had to pick, yeah, probably the club at the end of the day, because it's much more social.
Yeah. So I'd like to go to the theatre and then finish the night off in a bar.
And
Good answer.
Start at a restaurant.
And start at the restaurant. Yeah.
Brilliant night out.
Yeah. But no, I love the theatre as well, and but I do love the bars and and stuff like that. And I quite like the club until 6 o'clock in the morning as well.
No, I can't.
Go on, Sam. What would you love to
come in at 5 in the morning, go to sleep, and be in work for 8:30? I don't know how did that even happen.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
A week to get over that now. Honestly, the thought of that.
What would you rather do, Sam?
I like going out for dinner. That wasn't the choice, was it? I gave you theatre or clubs. I've missed the theatre loads, I really have missed. I think if I had to say an absence, I've missed theatre definitely more than that. And when I was young, obviously I was clubbing all the time, but it's not my thing now. I'm happy to go for a meal with friends and things, and go for a drink somewhere. And I do love music, but if I had to pick between the two forever, it'd be theatre.
Yeah, I think the two forever. I'd probably pick theatre as well. Yeah. Brilliant, amazing. Okay, so we know a little bit more about Jane now. So I met Jane on Monday, and it was the first time that I'd met Jane. But a good contact friend of ours, Steve Lee, rang me and he said, I know this woman called Jane and she'd be amazing for your show. So I was like, right, okay, brilliant. So Jane and I met up and we had a cup of tea and had a lovely chat, and we were there for a while and getting to know each other and stuff. And Jane's got an amazing story. Okay, so she worked for a big corporate, flew all around Europe and the world and things like that, and then decided to leave the corporate world behind and come to the self-employed dark side with us. After seeing, of the work-life balance, and did it all sort of in the last 18 months, which has been a tricky time for anybody to change and make that big decision to change to becoming self-employed anyway. And not only has she done that, she's also become a non-exec director at the Lydiate Learning Trust, and she also ran 100k in March for a fundraiser. So we're going to start talking, Jane, about your life as a, so you are a HR consultant now, and so we're going to talk about how the corporate HR then went into how you became self-employed. So we're going to hand it over to you, and then Sandra and I will just chip in and ask you some questions as we go along.
Yeah, sure. Well, 2 minutes on something people asked me about is, why did you decide to go into HR? And, I don't think I, sort of sat at school and thought, oh, I think I'll be a HR director. Yeah. But I was very fortunate to have very supportive parents and a nice structured family home. But when I was 10, my family took me to live in South Africa, and it was the end of the 1970s. And there was something going on there called apartheid.
Of course.
Which was racial segregation.
Yeah.
So as a 10-year-old, I got on the plane in London, in my life, and then got off in South Africa, and it was a different world, and not a world that any of us in my family thought was great, to be honest. So it was great weather, great beaches, and the rest of it was pretty shocking, to be honest. So we only stayed there about a year or so, and then we came home again.
Right.
But during that period, I learned from a young age about things like, unfair discrimination and, why we should treat people equally and what happens if we don't, how it can damage people and how it can wreck society. And it kind of sat with me. I didn't realise it did when I was 10, but, anyway, I came back just in time to go to secondary school. And in where we lived, in the sort of town we lived in, you had to go to school by where you lived. So there was none of this now where you can go where you like. So we had two schools. One was really good and one was pretty poor. So the really good one was oversubscribed. So I went to the other one because I'd just landed from South Africa and went to this other one. And our head teacher was an amazing woman because she had two jobs. She was a judge as well as a head teacher. But that meant she was always in course and she was never in school. And this is where I learned about the power of leadership, that, if it's not right at the top, if you haven't got a good leader at the top, the rest of it crumbles. And we had some great teachers who really tried, and tried to give us a good education. But really, the school was pretty chaotic. And I left school at 16 and got what they call now an apprenticeship, like a graduate apprenticeship. So they let me go to college one day a week. And I did my degree and I did my master's in HR from there, really. And I think, that was kind of the grounding, was where I learned about two things. One was about treating people right and correctly and fairly. And the other was about, the power of leadership and, how, organizations can be good or not good, depending on, how you run, really. And I just felt like HR was the place to make a difference. And that's how I ended up in HR. And I was ferociously ambitious and sort of, spent all my time working. My friends at the time, who I'm still friends with now, that I met when I was 16 in my first job, they said, we don't want to talk about work on a Friday night when we go out. So can you, you think it's fab, but we think it's boring. So, and I ended up, sort of climbing the corporate ladder, basically, to HR director in some big sort of financial places and shipping companies. So that was kind of my career sort of path, really. And then, as you say, Helen, the last 3 years of corporate life, I spent traveling around Europe, helping other leadership teams and other HR directors manage their people and improve their performance. And then I felt like I'd sort of gone as far as I wanted to go in corporate life. I was away for nearly every week for 3 years, away from home, away from my children. I couldn't commit to anything. I couldn't, I couldn't say to people, oh yeah, I can go out for drinks on a Wednesday night, or I can go to an aerobics class, and then the weekends, was so busy with everything that I couldn't do in the week. and obviously spending time with the children. And both my parents had been self-employed. So although they'd encouraged me to go into corporate life, because I think they thought it was easier, you get a paycheck every month, don't you? So, it's easy. But actually, I had quite a few friends that are self-employed, and I just thought, now's the time for me to give it a go. So 18 months ago, I stepped off the corporate ladder and jumped into the pond of self-employment, and I haven't looked back, actually. It's been amazing. I've really enjoyed it.
So when you became self-employed, was it just before lockdown, just during, was it?
Yeah, about January 2020.
2020,
Yeah.
And then, of course, we would never have believed that we would have had this pandemic, and that, you know, the world would have shut down. And I think stepping from a corporate where you were looked after sort of thing into the world of self-employed. So how did that feel?
Yeah, well, it was really strange. One of the strange things about it as well was the fact that when I was at work, because I'd worked in my last company for 10 years, I actually had a global network. You know, people knew me across the world. I had friends in Africa and America and everywhere. And suddenly I had no friends. I had no, I had no colleagues. You know, no one to ring up or no one to work in a team with or anything like that. And that was when I started networking then, so that I could just get that team back again. And then all that I knew in terms of HR, all the things that, you know, had been important, things like recruitment and pay reviews and contracts and things like that, they became unimportant. So we started hearing words like furlough and clinically vulnerable and isolation, and nobody knew what to do with these words. You know, so whereas I wanted to promote myself as, you know, a HR expert, I couldn't really, because nobody was an expert in this sort of stuff. So we were all sort of learning together, really. And obviously the best way to learn is to actually keep informed and to keep in touch with people who are, you know, at the forefront of information. So I made sure I kept in touch with big employment law firms that I was used to working with. So they were handing down the precedents around what was happening. And also health and safety advisors as well, you know, because they were coming at it from the health and safety view. And also just watching the news, because Boris kept changing his mind, didn't he?
Just round the edges.
Say this on a Tuesday and he'd say that on a Thursday, you know, and you'd be like, oh, you know, I just told on a Wednesday someone to do something, and now it's changed. So you had to run fast. We all did. We all had to run fast. And some of it, you just had to be sensible about decisions. You know, so you've got somebody that's in a situation where, you know, somebody in their home is ill with COVID or suspected COVID. Okay, let's just be sensible. Let's treat people fairly, but let's make sure that we also treat people correctly, so that we don't have people just not working because, you know, they just think, oh, I'd rather spend the day at home. Lots of support needed for parents around homeschooling. You know, 1 minute they're in school, next minute they're getting sent home again.
It must have been a nightmare.
So that was very interesting. It was a very interesting time to jump off, you know, the springboard into the big pond and realise that actually, you know, the pond was actually bigger than you thought and much deeper. But it was, it's been great. And you know what they say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Indeed. And when we were talking about, you know, the work-life balance, and lots of people think, will probably look at you, you know, traveling around Europe and staying in these places and think, wow, you know, what an amazing lifestyle. And we were talking about, you know, one of the reasons why you sort of decided, you know, to work for yourself was that you could, you know, create your own diary, couldn't you? You know, so if you wanted to be off on a Wednesday afternoon because you had something, and we were talking about tennis lessons and things like that, weren't we? Because you've started playing tennis now, haven't you?
I have, yeah, I have. And my favourite time of the week is Monday morning. You know, the time everyone hates. I love it.
I love these.
I used to have Monday morning, I used to be up at 4 and on my way to the airport, 4 o'clock at the airport. Now, Monday's my lie-in day a little bit from a work point of view. I just get up about 8, and have a cup of tea. And I still think now, not in the airport, But I have been able to do my tennis lessons and play with my ladies, and I spent like all my life going, the ladies who lunch, well, now I can be a lady who lunches when I want to.
Yeah.
As long as I'm meeting the client expectations and I'm managing things, then I can schedule lunch and I don't have to feel guilty about that, because I can just do it. So it's great. Yeah, really, really good.
You manage your own diary even more. I mean, you probably did when you worked for a company, but you really are much more in control of your own diary, aren't you, when you work for yourself?
Yeah, because being abroad is great. So I enjoyed meeting everybody, the cultures, the different, way of doing things.
Yeah.
And I always say the first year I did it, it was a bit scary. The second year I enjoyed it. But by the third year, those Monday mornings are getting tough,
Yeah.
And you do go out for dinner with people, but if you're there 4 or 5 nights, you do spend a lot of time on your own as well.
Yeah.
You're in a hotel room and the lighting's never very good in a hotel room, is it?
No,
I always think they must think everyone's there on a romantic break or something. But what about us who are trying to work,
Not wrong, because I teach languages and I have some clients when they're away with work and they'll say, well, I'm away, can we do one? And I'll hook in on Zoom or what have you, or as we used to do before the pandemic, we do like a messenger video, something like that, and we do it that way, or WhatsApp, etc., FaceTime. And they are always dimly lit in the hotels. You're quite right, and they look great, when you're teaching and that. So
and you probably work more, don't you? Because you sort of, you think, oh, well, I've got nothing to do. I may as well sit here and do some work, So you probably don't have as much downtime because, but people do think, when they see you flying around that you've got a glamorous lifestyle. But I do think, your tennis lessons and your ladies luncheon and stuff is super, super important. And during lockdown or just before that, somebody approached you, didn't you, to be the non-exec director?
Yeah, it was just at the start of lockdown, actually. Yeah, so somebody approached me to go on the board, and I was interested in doing that for 2 reasons. From a personal point of view, in terms of I'm used to being in the boardroom, and I like the structure of the boardroom. I kind of grew up, and I know that I can challenge and I can set strategy. And I can work, at that level without getting too much into the detail, which is what you need to do when you sit on the board. But also, I like the idea of it being a school, 2 schools, because education for me has always been important since I went to that school where I had to fight, to learn things. And it's always been high on the agenda to give people an opportunity to be educated. Not everybody's going to be good at everything, but every child has got something that they're good at or they like doing.
Yeah.
And great teachers bring that out, and so the board, is there to provide that environment for the teachers and for the kids. So one of the schools that I look after, is when I say look after, I'm on the board of, is, a very solid Ofsted, sort of outstanding or good school. And the other one has got much more disadvantaged children in. And so, we're always trying to find ways to keep them interested in coming to school, actually. Because a lot of them have got, well, not a lot, some of them have got issues at home that keep them at home. Or they've got, family that aren't as supportive, maybe, of them going to school. So they don't really mind if they go to school or not. Or, they've just got all the pressures, really, and it takes their mind away from their education. So, trying to encourage everybody to take the opportunity to learn and to be happy in school, whether they're doing PE, maths, whatever they're doing, whatever they like doing, at least, to be there and to develop and learn and be happy. So I thought, right, this will be an opportunity for me to use my skills in the boardroom to bring something back to people where I can, really.
Brilliant.
And it's great. And I love even the challenges over lockdown where, you know, we've had kids at home who haven't had laptops, and we've had to find money to pay, you know, for laptops and move things around, you know, to suit online learning. And the teachers have been great, you know, sort of designing teaching programs for the kids. And some kids who didn't come to school as much actually did join in on the online, because, you know, they can do that from home. So they can still be at home for the reasons they need to be at home, but they can join in on the online as well. So it's been successful, actually, in for some people. In cases,
It's funny how it just shows in times of crisis you can change things, can't you? And we can adapt and things, and children are a lot more adaptable. Although it is challenging, and I think that period of time, it very much highlighted the discrepancy between people. I don't think a lot of society realised how many homes didn't have internet access, because if you have broadband in your house, as we all do when we're working and things like that, you make the assumption everyone has it, and everyone doesn't have it. Or someone might have 4 children, they've got access to one device like a tablet or a phone, and they've got 4 kids in different year groups can't all have lessons at once. And I think a lot of people hadn't realised the extent of this, and I think it flagged it up massively, you know, to the government as well. And I know there were lots of charities helping people, getting people laptops as well, and then schools having to buy them, as you've said, you know, and it'd be quite challenging. But having been a teacher myself, all I could think of was the teachers who were teaching online, doing live lessons, and had their own kids at home. And there was a clip on YouTube, I think it was, or Facebook, and this poor teacher, and she's trying to teach, and her partner went past in his undies, and she was like, you know,
garden
protection issue, you name it, it just flooded. She just went, she just put her head in her hands like that, sorry, and ran off, you know. And then another one, the kids were, and I just thought, oh my goodness, you know, how stressful for them all, the poor teachers over it.
And we were talking about so there's lots of, you know, summer camps and holiday camps and things like that, and we were talking about feeding the children, you know. So lots of the you know, they're giving out food parcels and fruit bags and things. And Granby Toxteth and Penny Lane, where we were today, you know, all the kids come and they'll get a bag of fruits to go home with, and the Half Fund has been amazing, you know. That's been given out to lots and lots of different places to encourage them to come out and, you know, to be active and to feed them and all the other things, isn't it? And I think to become a non-exec director sort of during lockdown, again, you've become self-employed and become a non-exec director, and we go into lockdown, isn't it? You know, is that your corporate training, do you think, or is that your is it just who you are, how you've been able to get yourself through, or how have you managed that?
Well, I think as I said earlier, I'm quite ambitious, which there's a difference between ambitious and competitive.
Yeah.
So if you're competitive, you just like to beat other people. But if you're ambitious, then you set yourself goals, don't you? And you're not really bothered what the rest are doing. So I'm quite ambitious. So I think, right, what am I going to do? You know, right, I'm going to be self-employed. So this is what I'm going to do. And I did do it through my corporate life. You know, I'd sit there and think, right, where's my next promotion? What do I need to learn to get there? You know, how do I need to perform in my job? Because only if you're a good performer, you get promoted. And it was never about money, because money just comes with that, you know. It's just, you know, I'll do the best I can, then I'll get promoted, and then I'll do the best I can, and then I'll get promoted. And that was kind of how it went, really. Because in corporate life, the higher up you are, the more influence you've got, the more good you can do. So, you know, it used to frustrate me when I was at the bottom, and I would think, God, I'd do this so different if I was at the top, you know. So, and I guess the same is, you know, with me moving into self-employment. It's like, right, how do I need to make this work? How am I going to make it work, you know? And then just trying different things, and some work and some don't. And then just making sure you get up every morning, you know, have a cup of tea and some breakfast, and then get on that laptop or get on that phone or whatever it is that you're doing for the day. And always remember, if you're not enjoying it, then, you know, you need to be doing something else, really.
100%. But I love that. I love that the difference between like is ambitious and competitive. I love that. I've never really thought of that, because I'm like mega competitive. And we were laughing. So Danny Clark, who was one of our guests, he does a leadership training course, and I was on his course last week, and we were talking about it. And I would say that I'm the least aggressive person ever, because I'm like dead chilled, and I don't get any ag or anything like that. And then when he was talking about it, I thought, oh, I think I'm like really quite aggressive, you know. But I think it's the competitiveness in me. I need to win, you know. I would see it as me being competitive, whereas probably others could say like, oh no, she's quite aggressive, because it's like, no, we're doing it this way. But that's my competitiveness. So I think maybe I need to start to learn to be slightly more ambitious than competitive. I quite like that. That's a good analogy, that competitive. And yeah, I like that. Cool.
Well,
amazing.
It's easier to be ambitious because you set your own standards, you know.
Yes.
So I think your ambition could be to be second, you know. Yeah. And then if you're second, then you're quite happy because you came second.
Yeah, because you've already set it yourself. Yeah.
You know,
I like that.
But, you know, most people who are successful do set themselves, you know, high sort of standards or goals, or you know, if you look at some of the big entrepreneurs like Richard Branson, love him or hate him, he's had a go at some massive projects, hasn't he, in his life?
Yeah.
And some of them have been a disaster, and some of them have made him a fortune. So.
But every successful entrepreneur has had some disasters, though. That's part of the way forward, isn't it? Things, you know, people, you get two schools of thought, and people think, oh, well, you could, yeah, but what if it fails? What if it goes wrong? Well, that's okay, because then you'll move on and do something else, you know, or start another thing. It's just part of the learning curve, isn't it? Going through those processes. Failure is always a learning opportunity. Do you know what his first business was, Jane?
No, I don't actually.
Do you, Helen?
No.
He when he was 15, he bred budgies to sell, and they died. And he said he realised not to have perishable stock. That was his first thing. He decided.
Very clever.
Not to have perishable stock. Then he had the magazine, but he bred budgies first of all.
Wow, amazing. So Jane, as well, whilst you've become self-employed and become a non-exec director, you also set yourself a challenge in March, didn't you? So what was your challenge in March?
What was your motive to do it, Jane?
Yeah, so my dad died of cancer about 12 years ago. So as you know, I mentioned slightly earlier, I don't run. The maximum I run is 5K, and I run it, you know, from time to time, a couple of times a month or something like that. I'll do it to keep fit with my music. And I just thought we were sort of still in lockdown, and it was my birthday in March, and I thought, oh, what am I going to do with my birthday? Well, nothing, because no one was doing anything. So I thought, oh, I need to do something. And the Race for Life wasn't going to be on, we didn't think. So it just popped up on my Facebook page that, you know, Cancer Research Challenge, you know, why don't you run 100K in March? And I thought, I could do that, because that means I've got to run 5K for 20 days in March. So, and it'll keep me fit, and it'll give me a goal, and, you know, it will make me celebrate my birthday and whatever. So, so that's what I did. And then I told some of my friends from my network that I was doing it, and I got sponsored as well. I had a Just Giving page, and people gave me cash and things like that. It was great. I raised £1,000. So that was really good. Cancer Research. But one of the guys in the network group, he just lives up the road, and he very kindly offered to help me, and he does a lot of running. And he said, I'll run with you. And I said, no, because I only do 5K and I'm not very fast. I'm not timing myself, you know, you know. So he said, no, he said, I'll go for my run, and then I'll come to your house. I'll pick you up. I'll run you around the block. and then I'll drop you off, and then I'll carry on my run again.
Amazing.
How kind. That's so kind, isn't it?
Yeah. So shout out to Carl Hamill for keeping me going, because he used to send me a little message saying, "Are we running today?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, okay," even though my legs were killing me from the day before, yeah, we'll go, so
Brilliant. And it is great to sometimes have a running buddy, isn't it? Because it does sometimes you think, oh, should I go, shouldn't I? You wouldn't let the other person down.
No.
So no. But you might think, if you were going out yourself, my dog's my running buddy now because Rach has left me. She's not my running buddy. No, she has left me. She's got 2 little people now, and she's
look after
and we will get back to running together again when Charlie's home. But when Rach and I were agreeing to meet each other, we ran all the time because we lived a couple of roads, and we met and we went for our run. And sometimes it'd be like, oh, I don't really fancy it. Oh, but I'm meeting Rach, so I've got to go. Whereas when it's when you're there yourself, sometimes you've really got to talk yourself into it, haven't you? And I did a challenge where it was January, wasn't it? Did I run 5K every day in January or something like that?
Yeah, you did.
And we'd done our radio show, and I'd looked at on my app or whatever, and I think I could write, if I ran another 8 or 9K or something, I got to another, like a bigger number. It was like 150 or 200K, something like that. I thought, oh, I need to do this, and I ended up competitive, finishing the radio. I think I ran in the morning, then did the radio, checked me, and then went back out again. Didn't I? Just to do, because just nuts. You didn't, no, but that was all right. Yeah. But no, I mean, to raise £1,000 as well is absolutely phenomenal, isn't it?
Time with it, it was difficult, wasn't it? So
with everybody, working and stuff like that, isn't it? £1,000, like, amazing, isn't it? And quite a lot of charities have suffered, haven't they, because they haven't been able to do the events and like the Race for Life and things. So they must have been delighted with that.
Yeah, and do you know what was nice? When I was out running, I saw people that I knew, and they were like, "What are you doing?" Because I'm not used to seeing you. And I was like, "I'm running for cancer research," and they'd give me some money. They'd give me like 20 quid or what have I got in my pocket,
Brilliant.
Great, how nice is that? Yeah.
Yeah, and people are just so kind, aren't they? People are just amazingly kind, aren't they?
They really are kind. So, Jane, do you work from home, or do you have an office, or what at the minute?
Yeah, so I've got an office in Liverpool, but I work mostly from home. So I'm in my home office now. I don't know if you can see the little sculpture behind me of the lady.
I was looking at that before, thinking, what's that?
What is it? Sorry.
She's my colleague.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Her name's Sue. Yeah.
Sue.
So I talk to Sue, when I'm having my tea break and things like that. And
where's Sue from?
Well, actually, I won her in a raffle in Clare House. Yeah.
I thought you were going to say she was from South Africa, and I brought it back, and I was waiting for a big tail.
I'll be honest, it was first prize, and the second prize was a Tiffany bracelet. And I said, "Oh, can I have the Tiffany bracelet instead?" He went, "No." And I said, "I'm going to get Sue home in a taxi."
Heavy, Jane, what's it made from? Is it stone or wood?
It's made from wood. It's made from the bark of a tree. Yeah, and she's got her eyes closed. She's actually called Serenity. Yeah, Serenity Sue. So she keeps me calm. Yeah.
Very good. I like it. I think it's very nice. I was looking at that before. That's quite nice in the background, isn't it?
Does she do the invoices?
Yeah, she's not very good at it though.
I've got a friend in business, and she invented one because she doesn't like chasing clients who owe her money. And she goes, "It's not me, it's Kathy. She's on my back." Another friend, and she said, "Well, I tried to, and Kathy chased me for it." Because, "Do you know Kathy?" And I went, "No, I've not met her."
So Gertie Robinson's listening today. So she's one of my friends. So yeah, saying hello to Gertie. Yeah. So Gertie's deaf. So I'm just saying hello to her. Cool. Yeah. So amazing. Thank you for sharing your story with us, Jane. I think you're super, super inspirational, how you've done all these amazing things during lockdown and you're still smiling and laughing, which we love. So that's brilliant. And, you know, people are so kind. You know, people are kind as in they've supported you with you starting your business. You're supporting people with the school, and then people have supported you during your run. And so, you know, the kindness of people is amazing, isn't it?
And just to say one thing, I was talking to someone this morning, sorry, talking over our guests again. One thing I was talking about is things that happen to you, and even people don't realise, people who've had lovely childhoods, whatever, things that happen to you when you're young influence you, and it might come out in your 50s, whatever, later. It's so true. I was talking about this yesterday with Susie Kane, and I was saying it was such a positive thing they were doing with the kids yesterday, and about the food and the summer activities. They're doing this amazing summer school for these kids, and it's all free for them to access. And things that happen when you're young influence what you do later in life. And like you were saying about going over when you were 10 and seeing the injustice. And I have a friend who's in HR, and she said she couldn't stand injustice as a kid. Even in the playground, she'd get involved, and it's loads of HR people, that's their character. They like to see things done fairly, you know.
Yeah.
That was really, and about the school as well. Everything you do now, you can see where it's come from.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Good, amazing. Okay, so we're going to move on with our show, and we get to red face. So, San, red face moments. People only listen to your red face moments.
Right. That's so unfair, but I'm a bit concerned. So, basically, very unusually, considering I have been out and about, I haven't got a red face moment over the last 7 days I can recall. However, I've been invited to do something tomorrow, which is a bit of a phobia of mine, but it's also an opportunity. And if the person's reassured me massively, and I think, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to give this a go tomorrow. So I'm going to feedback about it next week. And I said to my son, you'll never guess what I'm doing tomorrow, because he knows it. And he said, brilliant. And I think in his heart, he was thinking, oh, my God. And he went, yes, do that, Mum. Anyway, then I said, I just hope it isn't a repeat of the incident at Church Street over the zip wire. And he went, and when I used to work for a charity, Jane, I worked for the ADHD Foundation, and I organised this thing that all these people would go down the zip wire, and they were all there, and I got my kit on, but I was a bit nervous. I was okay, but then I thought, and anyway, I didn't realise how high it was. And when I'd gone up, I was like, God, it's really high. And then the fella decided to crack jokes, and he was going, ha ha, it'll snap and stuff. Oh. Well, that was it. But he didn't realise, because I'd been like smiling, and he didn't realise I was like nervous. So I went, no, that's it, and ran down the stairs. I swear to God, I've never ran so fast in my life. And he shouted, I said to him, all I heard was, you'll have to do the walk of shame down Church Street with that. And I went, that's okay. And I did, and I just had to make that. And I said, I don't want to repeat the Church Street incident again. So we'll see. But positive mental attitude. So that was
an amazing time.
But if I do that, I tell you what, that's
going to be your success next week. We'll share it with everybody next week. That'll be your success of the week. Brilliant. It's amazing.
Thanks to baby Jesus and whoever else. Okay. Yeah.
So Jane, have you got any red face moments?
Well, I've just remembered actually about something that happened to me when I was 21. I know that was a long time ago, but I remember, so I worked in the library buildings, and we had a club in the bottom, a pub, like a big social club.
Yes.
So I had my 21st in this social club. Mm-hmm. And all the girls got me one of these Tarzan O'Gram. Do you remember those?
I remember them, yeah, the kissograms.
Yeah, the kissogram, but this was a Tarzan, because I'm Jane. So you
right. Okay, that went right over my head, Jane.
Yeah.
Right.
So and they're like dancing away, as you did in the 70s. And then the lights all go on, and this guy comes in, and you hear this big noise, whoa, and all the girls go, it's the Tarzanogram.
Oh, God, no.
So this guy runs in like this, and he runs out, goes, where's Jane? And they all go, there she is. And he comes over, and he tries to pick me up. Well, he was the skinniest Tarzan you've ever seen, honestly. He was thinner than me. He had less muscles than me. And he come running over and I said, you won't be able to pick me up. And he goes, I will, that's what I do. I'll pick you up and, you know, have a photo and that. And remember the photos where the instant cameras?
Yeah,
And so he picked me up and he dropped me. He dropped me. Right. And so I'm on the floor like that, skirt up here and everything. And I'm on my 21st, and I'm supposed to be gorgeous. And I'm on the floor. And then my mate, Karen, she picked him up and went to the art gallery. So that's my photo of my mate holding Tarzan.
That's amazing.
I think they'd have checked before he got
And then she put him down and she said, you're not getting a tip. You better get out before you get lynched.
The best bit of that story is me picked him up.
Yeah.
That is the best bit of the story. Oh, you poor thing. So I normally have one of those stories every week, Jane.
I've been all right this week. I've done nothing, I don't think, that I can think of this week. I've been quite good this week, yeah. Okay. So we have a shout out to the grown-ups, okay? Sandra, what grown-ups do you want to shout out to?
Well, shout out defo to Kevin and Kevin Morland and Susie Kane yesterday and Hayley Tate, who's a GP who's absolutely amazing how she was with those kids. Massive shout out to them. And also 80, this is a young person, so we put on our Facebook page this young lad from he came from Syria 3 years ago and he got a scholarship to St Mary's in Crosby. And he's just knocked out top grade A levels, been in England 3 years, you know, amazing. And also bear in mind how he's had to study and what's happened over what the kids have been through the past 16 months or so. So he's just done amazingly well. So a massive shout out to him.
Brilliant. Jane, have you got any grown-ups you want to shout out to?
Well, I'd like to give a shout out to my mum, actually, if that's all right.
Yes.
So she's 82. So like most older people, you know, she's been through this lockdown and, you know, had to stay at home and all the rest of it. But she's super fit. She's out there with her walking club. She's at the choir. She's back in life. And she's always pleased to see us when we go and see her. So
that lovely.
Great. So well done, Mum.
Brilliant. I love that. Yeah, and I think you need to give a shout out to your big son as well, hasn't he just graduated with a...
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I suppose he is an adult now, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, my son has just graduated with a 2-1 honours degree in economics.
Oh, that's mental. Okay.
Yeah, just got his graduation and he's got a job as well, working with an accountancy company. He's had a few weeks off and he's going to start work in a couple of weeks. So
brilliant.
Welcome to the real world, son.
Yes, and your lovely girl as well, isn't it? She's done amazing, hasn't she?
Yeah, so she's in her second year at university and she's doing German and business studies. So she's got good grades. She's at Sheffield, so she's due to go back in a few weeks. And she'll be spending next year in Sheffield and then the next year in Germany.
Yeah.
So,
how good is that?
I
know. I thought, Sandra, she's one for you to have a little chat with, isn't she?
It's an clock everyone whose kids are doing.
I know. When I heard that, it was like she speaks German. I was like, ooh, amazing. Yeah.
She will fluent German. Yeah.
Very good for language in Sheffield as well.
Which is brilliant, isn't it? And I'm going to give a shout out to the Granby Toxteth gang today, who delivered all the fruit and everything for the children and made the event really successful. And Autism in Motion, who have been guests of ours, Joe and Hannah. They've been having a summer camp, every day in Autism in Motion St George's building. And they had 35 kids in today, which is phenomenal, and they fed them all, and the mad scientist was there and he did experiments with them all. So they've got all these like amazing activities on, and it's lovely for the parents as well to have a little bit of respite as well. So the kids are there, but the parents are there as well. They stay with them, but the parents are all a support network for each other, and they just do an amazing job. So I've just seen the time and we're running very, very short on time. So we're going to just go to our closing quote, Jane. So something that you live by, a mantra that you live by, that you're going to close the show with.
Okay, so one for all the busy people, and this is one which I used to hear all the time on the aeroplanes. Apply your own oxygen mask first before helping others. So
that's so true.
make sure you leave a little bit for yourself.
Brilliant. So I want to say thank you so much for sharing your story with us today, Jane. You've been absolutely amazing. And thank you to Sandra for being amazing as always. And we'll see everybody next week. So thank you very much for listening.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks. See you soon. Bye.